Hey everybody, welcome to the Nuggies. I'm your host, Matt.
I'm Nate.
I'm Tyler.
And I'm Drew.
Hello everybody, welcome to the Nuggies. We did take last week off. We were all in various places and just couldn't seem to get together. So we took a week off, and that means that Matt has no clue what the hell he's doing again. Like, completely forgot how to do a podcast. So that's just the way that usually turns out. You're all familiar with this, so no surprises there. But anyways, we do have a fantastic topic this week. I have no clue what it is. Probably should have looked that up before we started. I'm just kidding. But anyways, we got a fantastic topic. Before we jump in, I believe we're going to do a This Week in FOSS this week, right? So, Nate, over the last few weeks, what you been up to?
As far as FOSS is concerned, absolutely nothing. Nothing at all. But I will say that I'm getting closer to being done with school. So videos will come. You don't have to keep berating me. I'm just trying to get through my schooling. And I've been cleaning my office, and I found my tester for the Ethernet. I found my screwdriver. I found an extra SSD. I found a 128 gigabyte SD card. I also found my game controller that I haven't seen in like 2 months and realized,
it's
there
like
it is.
Christmas at Nate's house.
So it's amazing what happens when you do just a little bit of cleaning and actually do some spring cleaning. Yeah, I will say I do have a project that's coming up. I am going to make an Arch ISO with Cosmic, just as a project.
That does sound like fun. Where is Cosmic in the whole? When's it actually coming out? Like, it's a real?
It's Alpha 6. I think it's 6 right now. I think they're getting close to an actual beta release, which is probably when I will go full time.
Do they have a release date for when it's going to be not beta
I don't think
anymore?
so.
No? So we're looking at like 2029 or something like that? Or?
No, I think it's 2026
Okay.
is their end goal.
Well, they didn't beat GIMP, so that's just there you go. They got beat out on GIMP 3.0 that came out this week. All right, Drew, what about you? What you been up to lately?
I have done, I guess since last week, I've done 2 videos. One was on Better Fox, and the other one was Westterm? Is that the one? I can't even remember what I did. I think it was on Westterm. And so I did 2 videos, and then this the last couple days I've actually been devoting towards open box, friends. It hasn't been touched in like a decade, but I'm working on an install script and a setup script, and basically a open box configuration for the masses. So there you go, friends. I know that you've been missing the open box love, and here it is.
I thought Drew was going to say, I'm going to rewrite OpenBox in Rust. Okay, that's going to be popular. All right. By the way, Drew, Tyler was right earlier. Your DWM documentation is amazing. So
it's so good. It's so good.
Anybody want to know what DWM is all about? Go read his documentation. It's fantastic. So, Tyler, what about you? What you been up to?
Messing around a lot. Like, the new version of Zany OS has dropped, so that comes with a lot of improvements. I've been checking out HyperPanel and other stuff like that. And I've been testing out VR on Linux, which I have to be honest is much more of a pain to get set up than on Windows, and has its own separate problems. However, I will say it's an open source implementation, and VR has gotten to the point now where it even works with the Quest headsets. So if you wanted to get VR but didn't want to spend a crap ton of money on it, and the Quests were cheap enough for you, they're not cheap, but cheap enough where you were considering them, but the problem is they're a Facebook product, but you didn't want to do anything with Facebook. The advantage is you don't have to. Like, you can just run everything from the PC. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I've had a lot of fun playing around with VR. I've gotten Half-Life Alyx to work at gorgeous settings. The only problem is like there are so many bugs, and there's so many things you have to work around. Like, there are fixes to every bug you encounter. The problem is you have to go and fix the bugs. That's the problem.
When you say glorious settings, I got it in glorious 1440p.
Well, actually, I was running it at 2400 encoder settings So 2400 by, I think it's 2400. I think it's the same, but I know that's the width setting is 2400, and then 2800 is what my actual headset rendered at. So it was kind of upscaling it a bit. Very nice. Like it looked very, very good, and that's per eye. And I have a 6600 XT, so it's not like I have like an incredible top of the end graphics card. Like it, VR works great. The only problem is I probably will have to go back to Windows to play some games just because there's so many bugs. But I am very impressed with where VR is on Linux. It has come a long way for most, and like the fact that I've played through a lot of Half-Life Alyx, and it's been a really great experience. I've had a couple of crashes, but through my testing, it seems like Wayland is more of the Wayland, and in particular Hyperland, has something to do with it. So
Well, I'm still as not into VR as ever, so I can't. All I
uh,
will ever do is judge you on.
I don't know, man. Well, it's something you can judge me on for sure because it's very niche. It's very expensive to get into, and the appeal before you have one, and like certain game experience. Did any of you play COD Zombies like addicted to it when it was really popular?
You're
See,
asking me.
Drew's like, yes,
You're
I did,
asking me.
I did.
see, exactly. Like none of like you guys don't have like there are other games that would be that for you. For me, I played COD Zombies for a ridiculous amount of time, loved it, wasted so many hours in it. There are multiple games, and one that I'm playing now, Contractors VR. There's a lot of games with modding community. Contractors modding community, they have all of the COD Zombies maps just completely ported over to VR, and it is insane to be able to play the old games that you used to play, but you're actually in them. So it is very nice. Like it's just one of those things where I don't blame people for making fun of people who do play VR when you don't, because it's not easy to get into, and it's also not as simple to just do as regular gaming. You can't just plop down in a chair.
It was more
And
just you look like an alien when you're wearing it.
well, that I mean that too. Like
Uh,
it looks way crazier than just sitting down at a computer to play a game.
I will say that I stopped playing first-person shooters just about the time that COD Zombies came out. That's when Call of Duty really jumped the shark for me. And granted, that was like what 10, 12, 15 years ago. So yeah, it's been a minute since I've been a
Battlefield was better than Call of Duty. I'm sorry.
nowadays I play Hearthstone. I don't think I need VR for that.
I will say Battlefield is better than Call of Duty. But what's better than Battlefield is Battlefront 2, the Star Wars game. They have that in Contractors VR, and I swear to God, it is the same game remade in VR. Like they have the same heroes and stuff. So you can become a Jedi and just like nuke out an entire lobby, and it is there is nothing like jumping over a building with a lightsaber and stabbing someone in the head as you fall down. There is no experience like it. Like it's so fun.
Okay, so I have switched to Hyperland perhaps for a while. Like I've actually been here for well over a week. It's surprising. Very few bugs, which is also surprising. And I've been kind of perfecting my setup, getting the key bindings where I want it to be. I did a live stream on Saturday where I did a couple extra themes. I have my theming script ready to go so I can switch between different color schemes, which has been fun. So that's what I've been doing there. I also, and Nate made fun of me for this earlier. Well, he judged me with his face. I disconnected my fourth monitor, like I said I was going to, and that's what this thing is over here. It's connected to another computer, and this is running Bluefin. And I've just been doing so. This is actually the same Bluefin install I had when I did the review, and the reason why I did that is because Resolve just works fantastically well in it. So this is my editing rig now. I don't really use it for anything else quite yet, but just yeah, you just have that GIF on on speed dial. But anyways, I did not buy, for those of you watching video, I did not buy a new keyboard. I had this keyboard, this is the Alice keyboard, but I did get new switches and new keycaps. So that scratched an itch for me for a little while. I thought if I hadn't just had to buy a stupid phone because it broke my phone, I thought about getting another Dactyl. I had the website open. So, and I was like, I have the Alice, I can just use that. Am I going to get a Dactyl for that computer someday? Probably. So, Matt's buying keyboards again, guys. Back off the wagon. It's great. All right. Anyways, so that is what we all been up to. We don't do that type of section every week, so we'll probably won't do it again for another month or so. But it's kind of nice for us to catch up and see what we all been doing. Tyler in his VR, Drew's changing the world of documentation by the day.
Jesus,
Literally,
really?
what he should do is hold a masterclass so that the developers of the Linux world could actually learn how to do documentation, because they all suck at it.
Well,
No offense,
I will say, just so we're very clear about that, to your credit, Drew, just so you know, D-Dubs is looking at all of your documentation and taking that and making my documentation much better by
I'm
using
keenly
yours
aware,
as a
my
reference.
friend.
Yeah.
I get links to your documentation and a couple questions here and there. How do you do this? Should I be it's funny.
It's like 3:00 in the morning.
Without question, man. I'm not joking.
Yes.
That's absolutely true. 3:00 in the morning a few nights ago. Absolutely true.
That's okay. I have actually I got a little bit of payback because I pinged D-Dubs the other day at 1:00 in the morning or something like that. We had a whole conversation. It was great. I swear that guy never sleeps. Anyway, so time to move on to the main topic, which is kind of broad, but I think we're gonna have some fun. So the question is, if you could, and I'm not really going to just limit it to one thing, but the question was, if there was one thing about your setup or workflow that you could change, what would it be? And like I said, I'm not going to limit it to one thing because I have a couple that I kind of want to share. So we'll just go with the first one that's like the big one off the top of your head. So Nate, you can go first. What is, if there is one thing of your setup or workflow that you could change just off, what would it be?
I am very terrible at decorating. And so for me, I think, and I'm saying this in a sense because I have a whole thing in my notes about motivation. And because I just kind of walk in and it's just like, I get very unmotivated. And one of the things that you can actually do is like just add some plant life or something in your office, even if it is fake, because there's no way I'm going to keep a real one alive. Not in the office, at least. But yeah, I think having some better decor around my office would be a great mental boost, so to speak.
You need a. Although if you put so I have the Eagles. You guys can't really see. I have the Eagles jersey behind me. It doesn't really appear on camera. But if you put a Dallas Cowboys jersey behind you, you're not appearing on my podcast. I'm just saying.
All right, that's it. I'm getting a Romo jersey.
well, at least that's how far back you had to go to find a good Dallas Cowboys player.
Oh, wow. Jeez.
It's okay. He kept the Eagles out of the playoffs. It's all right.
Yeah, he did one good thing in his whole career. At least now he's on CBS stinking it up. Could be
I like
worse.
football too.
Sorry. we don't want to go down that rabbit hole. We could be here all night. Anyway. Are you thinking IKEA plants? Because like every YouTuber has an IKEA plant. So if you want to be a YouTuber, you kind of have to have one. I don't have one, which
actually,
is
hold on. I'm going to put you guys on here. My grandmother came home with this weird, I think it's from a brand called like iHome or something like that, but it's a fake plant. Hold on. I'm going to try to grab my camera here. This is probably going to be awful. Please forgive me. Hold on. I can turn on a little extra light here.
Room tour.
Okay. So this little plant here. All right. It's a completely fake. It looks nice and it has some weight to it, but on the back of this plant, like you can kind of see it, it's got a 20-watt USB-C and then a shared 10-watt each regular USB port and another USB-C. And so I've got that on my desk as like just an extra little gimmick because I've got like you could see it there. I've got an entire power strip over here that like I've already got filled up. There's one extra slot here, but that's only because I took something away and it's in my backpack and it'll come right back. This slot here is too close to the other one, so I can't use it.
I have known Tyler for a few years now. Every time he shows me his desk, his computer has just complete open air about it. I mean, like that guy never completes a computer case.
Okay, hold on. Just so we're clear, in my defense, this is how messed up my computer cases get. This one behind me, I have the side panel for it. The problem is the CPU cooler that's on that Xeon is so damn big, I can't put the side panel on it. It literally is too large. It comes up out of the computer, so it's not an option. Then on this one, this is a super expensive computer case that Best Buy was selling, and I decided because I'm an idiot, I'm going to buy it, and also never looked online. I could have saved $80, but anyway, I bought it, and one of the things that sold me on it, I know you're going to make fun of me for this, is it had a see-through side panel, but it had an LCD that was built into the side panel. And so this thing has, if I take it over here, you can see it's got a connector here, and this right here is an HDMI cord. It goes from there up behind like the graphics card over here, and plugs like from the outside, goes down in and plugs into the graphics card. And so you have a see-through panel that like you could display images and videos on like it's a regular monitor, but it was terrible. And it also had a problem with it where it started to burn because the GPU heat messed with the LCD. So
It's still better than the cardboard box PC case.
Can I just say,
true that.
Side panels are actually kind of useless because you're limiting airflow, which means you can't get the heat out fast enough out of your case, which is why that one is open, because it's my server.
Yeah. Well, like, so here's the thing. No lie, like, this thing has a lot of, if you have a good case with, like, mesh filters on it, yeah, you need to keep the side panel on it because it reduces the amount of time that you have to spend taking apart your computer and cleaning it. The problem is, though, is if you're like me and you're going to probably open up the computer for some reason about every 3 to 6 months, just clean it, like just air dust it when you have it open anyway. And then there's no real if you're going to be cleaning it every 3 to 6 months, then there's no freaking reason to have a side panel on it. You can just blow the dust out. So
that was the absolutely peak Linux.
I didn't know we were going to do like office tours because I need to get some cameras going and stuff.
It's coming. It's coming. Once I get it done, it's coming. Just hold on.
Nate, do not do one of those until you have screens on the ceiling. Like, I need you. And like the thing is like, don't even let it be part of the tour. Just let it be like something that like the camera sees twice as it's like panning.
So here's the thing about that. I'm looking at a projector.
Ooh.
I could just straight up.
Yes. You could also do one of the short throw projectors and like angle it on one side.
Mm-hmm.
That's I like.
Anyways, back to the podcast.
Yeah.
What was the topic again?
Oh, yeah.
Drew, if there was one thing about your setup or workflow, just the first one off the top of your head, what would you change?
So I'm going to say something I think this is a philosophical answer, but I think that I would spend time to actually do deep dives for longer durations rather than hit like 10 things in an hour where I'm like, oh, I'm going to do this and then this and then this. If I could just like focus and deep dive on one or two topics over the same period of time where I'm taking, when I'm doing 10 things, I think that I would be a lot better off in terms of, I just have a fragmented focus basically. And I think that I would be a lot better off if I just did, surface level work. I mean, instead of doing surface level work, going into one or two deeply. That's what I would definitely change about my flow. My flow is way too like scattered and fragmented.
I do the exact same thing, so I can't blame you there. Tyler, what about you? What would you change?
Probably hardware, to be honest. Like, my workflow and stuff, like, it ties in heavily to the hardware I have, because like if I could, I would probably switch to having an NVIDIA GPU, not because NVIDIA is great, but I deal with the problems of NVIDIA because I feel like rendering applications would be better off with that. But that's pretty. I would really like to get to back to using DaVinci Resolve a lot more. That would probably be my biggest thing. I've ended up. I don't use Kden Live because I think Kden Live's better. I use Kden Live because it's easy to install and I don't have to fiddle around with fighting DaVinci Resolve to get it to work. Once it works fine. The problem is getting it there. So
I need to be a nice person. What I wanted to say was, Tyler, what do you need a video editor for? You haven't made any videos in like 2 years.
No,
Sorry.
well, I haven't been using it for videos.
I know.
Oddly enough, that's kind of.
I was just trying to be funny, all right. And
Can we take a minute and look at the chat? And because DistroTube has dropped the bomb that he would gladly change to Debian if he hadn't have so much of an Arch investment at this point.
Yeah,
I am incredible. I don't even know if I can contain my enthusiasm right now.
He's trolling you. He's not telling the truth.
Well, so Drew, if you can look into it, as long as I'll send you my package list. I have an entire list of all the packages I need for my system. If you can look over it and tell me if I can get all of those packages running on Debian, because there's a few odd ones, like ALVR is one of them. But as long as I can get that, Android tools, stuff like that, then I might give Debian a shot. Like as my daily.
You know what? I think about 2 years ago, you had all kinds of problems and you were like off the Debian train in a significant way.
This is wild. My history with Debian is crazy because it went from it hated me and never worked. For some odd reason, it would never work, or it would just be a pain to get and I mean an absolute pain to get installed. And then it was the easiest and most perfect working thing. The only problem with it was it didn't have packages that I either wanted or needed for a specific use case. And so I would have to leave it. And now it's gotten to a point where like I want to use Debian, but I still have the same. I know it's been updated. I've tried out Debian like Bookworm. It's new. The problem is I'm still worried about some of my packages, but
when Trixie comes out in the summer, Tyler will have this conversation again. Probably.
Okay.
So DT's claiming he's not trolling. I have a challenge that I'm issuing, and it's a 2-part challenge to both Drew and to DT. Drew, you get to use Arch for a month, and DT gets to use Debian for a month. We'll see how that goes. I'm sure you both can do it. I'm just going to say that it will be harder than, because you have your corners. You just stick there. All right. And it would be,
how about this? I'll join in as just an optional one. I'll make the first video I make in forever will be the start of this challenge. I'll use Debian with DT for a month.
I'm getting trolled at people asking me to do Gen2. Yeah.
No, that's too mean. That's over the top.
Just as long as y'all don't make me use NixOS, I'll be fine. All right. I suppose we should actually get back on the podcast topic again.
Your turn, by the way.
You realize that we can actually just blame DT for all of this, right? You know, because it's
we can,
obviously his fault. All right. So for one thing that I would change, and I blame Drew for this, and because it's such a good idea, and I give credit, I should say, because really it's the best thing ever. If I could go back in time and change one thing, I would write down everything that I've ever done on Linux. Like, I would create documentation right from that first day and put it on GitHub. I would have hundreds and hundreds of maybe thousands of commits over everything that I've ever learned as a compendium in a Git repository somewhere. Instead of just starting in the last year, I would go back and do that right from the beginning. It would just be awesome. I mean, to know, to have a whole section on what Linux permissions mean instead of having to go look them up every single time I need to figure it out, because trust me, everyone does that. And if you say you don't do that, you're a fucking liar. So,
or you're one of the people that works on permission. Like, you're so in tune with the project that you're not, like, you can't even relate to most people out there.
Yeah, unless you created Linux permissions, you know. So that's the one thing that I would have changed, and obviously I can't do that now. So the next time when we come back around for the next one, I have some more, more recent things that I could possibly change. But if we're looking in the past, that's definitely the one for me. Is like I really wish I had that, like, compendium of Linux knowledge, that grimoire, if you will, of everything Linux that I've ever thought about doing, have done, just there. Like the first time I installed Arch, if I just, written down how I install Arch, or the first time I installed Gentoo, how I did it, all that stuff, that would have been awesome, because while those things have good documentation of themselves, Arch and Gentoo, I having it in your own wording and how you actually did it without having to have, an explanation of what a file system is halfway through the thing, whatever. So yeah, that would be mine. That's my first one. So now that we've all gone around once, do you guys all have more that you can discuss on this, or okay? So Nate, what would be another one?
I wish that I could buy all new monitors and update them. Listen, I have mostly 24s. I want to upgrade to 27s and 1440p, at least 75 hertz, and possibly, be OLED, just for reasons. Oh, and I need about 2 more TVs, 2 more 50 inches of 4K.
They're debating the challenge in the chat.
Well, just so we're clear, me and DT both have questions. So, like, are we allowed to run like stable, unstable, SID?
You
are we
can
allowed
choose
to pick
whatever
and choose?
Debian you want, but it has
Cool.
to be
Okay.
your daily driver. It can't be like cheating and have it
Yeah.
in a VM or something. It has to be real.
And
you
can't-
guys
you
realize
can't-
I'm not doing this. I'm just
We
saying,
knew he'd be the one
right
to
off
back
the
out.
bat, you can troll me all you like. I am not going to be doing this. I actually have to work. And for me to, no, thank you. No, thank you. Maybe this is part of this discussion here because,
Drew,
yeah.
that's why you buy a second laptop,
There you
or
go.
a third, or fourth, or fifth. Like
That's
I
how
have,
you
or
end up with so
6.
many.
It's the one over here to my right. Yeah, maybe so.
All right, Drew, you were gonna.
I was going to say,
on with that.
I think that, because again, I'm going to talk about it in a more philosophical way, but I think as far as what I would stop doing is I would stop over tweaking. And because I think we all tweak to like so much. We theme hunt, we dot file perfect, we do terminal font testing for whatever reason. We do endless key binding tweaks, and we try window manager after window manager. And at some point, that system stops being a tool and starts being an art project. And I think that's where I am trying to like have what I would consider a minimal and well curated system. That way I can get my shit done basically, so that I don't have to like, it's like, cause if I go down the rabbit hole and tweak and do dot file perfecting and so on and so forth, I don't get stuff done. I really don't, in terms of like, it could lead me down this rabbit hole for hours and hours and hours. And yeah, at the end of the day, I'm like, ooh, that 3% better color pattern or theme is so much better. And I don't know. I'm trying to get more done during the day. So that's one of my things that I'm set up sprawl and over tweaking just too much.
Drew, I have the same problem, obviously. Like I write way more than you do, so I have a much bigger problem. But I don't think I want to stop. Is the problem? Like I haven't reached the part where I've come to the terms where I have to admit I have a problem yet. I'm in the part of I'm having fun still, so I'm going to continue to do it. But I get my work. I feel like I get my work done, but I also feel like I can sometimes get in a habit of realizing that sleep is something that I actually need, so I will do the tweaking and stuff like that, when I should be working, and then realize, oh shit, I have to do work. So then I'm up at like 4 o'clock in the morning sometimes doing the stuff that I'm supposed to be doing during the day. So yeah, it's a problem, but there are worse
Well, I
problems.
mean, yeah. Well, really, in all honesty, like if you think about it, you don't game, so like you're exactly like me. It's just I normally do like I will do the same thing that you do when it comes to ricing. It's just sometimes I don't do the ricing. I'm doing the gaming. Like everyone does that. Everyone has a hobby that they end up like getting so into where they're like, "Oh crap. Yeah, I probably should actually get to work right now."
But there's also this kind of thing where we're chasing perfection. It's like
Yeah.
I'm chasing the perfect distro and the perfect window, whether it be a window manager or the perfect desktop environment with the perfect themes and the perfect terminal emulator and so on and so forth. You could go down this rabbit hole. And so, yeah, I'm just saying, I think from my perspective, I think that I've curated enough to get things done now so that I can just kind of like, you know, I'll just do this.
Leave it be.
Yeah.
So that's a no to using the Arch for a month.
He's I mean it's fine. As long as me and DT can go at it together, we'll do it as our challenge.
I,
We have to do it.
maybe
We have to use
I couldn't
Debbie.
do it as a daily driver. I could try. I could do it like maybe for
No.
certain things.
We get it, Drew.
Yeah.
We get it, Drew. Debian is superior, and we need to give it a
You know what?
try
It's
so we
not.
can
It's
convert.
actually I tend to think that it's just what I'm comfortable with. I'm never going to say one is better than the other. I'm just comfortable using it. And my idea about Linux distros is that they're all good, whether, well, I don't say they're all good. That's overstating quite a bit.
Yeah.
That's overstating quite a bit. But there's a lot more user issues with swapping between going from one distro to another distro to another distro. Just learn your tools, baby. That's all I'm saying. Just learn your tools.
Yeah. For someone who is never going to distro hop, you have an awful lot of install scripts. I'm just saying that that's the truth. Tyler, what about you? What another thing?
It makes it easy though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
They're all focused on one thing.
I was not judging. I was in awe. That was awe, not judgment.
Okay.
Tyler, what about you? Another thing that you'd change?
I'd probably change how I go about picking browsers. I really don't like the I would really really love to use Qt browser. I would really love to. It doesn't render right. I would love to be able to find a browser that's like Brave, where it uses the standard web engine that's going to render crap properly, but give me the UI and customization that Qt browser gives me, and be more keyboard driven. And the thing I like about like Qt browser in particular is it's not just a regular browser with like a keyboard driven extension plugged in. It's very different. You're going to configure it the same way you would most other programs through a config file. It's just I like the way that Qt browser works more, and if I could change how I'm going to use my browser, I'd like to have Qt browser just with a more modern web engine. Be great. Ladybird, I'm really excited to see what Ladybird comes out. I don't think it's going to be anything like Qt browser at all, but I mean, I am ready to see something new and fresh in the world of web browsers that's not just another Google Chrome refresh.
So, in theory, I like the idea of obviously having another browser engine. I think it's going to be a good thing. But for me personally, I won't be using it for 10 years. For me, a browser doesn't good until it's old. And that's just because, especially, it doesn't feel like they have a huge team working on it. And that means that it's going to take them time to actually work out to the point where it actually is good. So
Well, I mean, I think when it comes to its release, it's just going to be an alpha state. So, I mean, even when it does come out to where you can install it, it's going to be a long time before it's a
perpetual
stable
alpha,
browser.
yeah.
Yeah. And
I mean,
so
Chrome
I
was
agree with you there.
Chrome was in beta for probably 10 years. You guys remember way back when Google did that? Like everything was in beta forever. So yeah, I mean that's okay, but and I'm not saying I'm not gonna try it, right? I'll try it when it comes out. I just don't think that I can make it my daily driver and trust it with my banking information until it's been thoroughly tested by everyone else. Like I don't want to be the guinea pig, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, I mean, that's that, especially with something that you're going to be using every day and probably putting a lot of information into. You want to have, I mean, most people don't want to be the guinea pigs as a daily driver.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't, in a lot of cases, you shouldn't want to.
You want to be absolutely assured that that's things as good as it can be, and it's not that, it's not as if I trust Vivaldi with all of my information either. I know they're stealing just as much data as anybody else is, and probably, but
sorry to just like throw this out there, but I have to, because as I said that, I didn't see a smile on Drew's face, but I could feel him smiling on the inside. Oh yeah. You want something that's stable and like
No.
Uh-huh.
In my head, I'm thinking, I wonder if Lady Bird will be around for Debian 14, because there's no stinking way that it's going to be ready for anything before that, you know?
Yeah. I doubt it. I
Yeah, I
honestly
mean, it's
doubt it.
alpha in 2026. So yeah, maybe Debian 15. Who knows? You know?
hopefully they'll have a flat pack, and then the rest of us can install a flat pack. Drew will be like,
Yeah, I'll be like, sure.
Maybe you can add a second flat pack to your system, Drew.
I have 0 right now. I have to
You
admit.
uninstalled the one you had. All right.
Yep.
All right. So another thing that I would change my backups. Well, not necessarily my backup strategy, but my backup like hardware. So I purchased when I first started doing backups, and this was obviously well before the Linux thing, but even more so once I did the Linux thing, I have a tendency to purchase the cheapest hard drive you could possibly find. And usually that means small hard drives. So, I filled those things up like crazy, like in 2017, 2018 time frame, right? So I have a whole like closet full of 750 gigabyte hard drives with random backups on them, from Windows days and Linux days, all of it mixed together, none of it labeled, by the way. No way of, I mean, hell, I think I still have some like IDE hard drives in there. It's ridiculous and not feasible to actually go back and find any information on. And yet, I'm never getting rid of those hard drives. Those things are going to stay in my house until literally the day that I die. Good luck to whoever my descendants coming in and trying to figure that shit out. So I think that obviously it wouldn't have been possible like a long time ago when hard drives were small for everybody. But I had a tendency to buy small hard drives even when bigger hard drives were available. So I would have gotten in. I know this is another one that's kind of like looking back, but I would definitely have bought or purchased larger hard drives faster than I did. I eventually smartened up and started getting 20 terabyte ones, and even now I'm like, is that really big enough? I'm not exactly sure because I need a lot of space, but I buy as big a hard drives as you can afford to buy. Don't cheap out on them. That'd be a recommendation that I would have, because I did that and I'm not very happy with my literal. It's literally a closet. I mean, it's not this closet back here, but it's a closet like this one. The entire like side of the walk-in closet is just stacked tall with hard drives. It's ridiculous, and I probably had to pay someone to actually go through and like index what's on them. That'd be hilarious. All right, so we'll go back around one more time and then we'll be done. Nate, one more from you, please.
I think mine would actually be upgrading my main workstation. I am due for an upgrade. The more that I edit and the more I do other projects, I definitely need more cores and lots more cores. And I would love to have at least a NVIDIA workstation card in there that has, the 48 gigabytes of VRAM and just absolutely munch the resolve like it's nothing. So I think that's my final one.
That's a good one. Drew, what about you? Another one from you, please.
By the way, just a little bit off topic, but I have and I told Nate this, I have a minis forum. I bought a mini desktop. It's a UM890 Pro by Minis Forum. It is awesome. I'm just saying, it is awesome. It's got I wish I could remember specs and stuff like that, but I never remember specs. It's got 8 core and 16 threads though, and works really, really, really good. Anyway, go ahead.
I was gonna say if you have a Neo Fetch and just read me what the actual AMD APU is, I can tell you what the specs are off the top of my head.
Yeah, maybe off camera.
Just say it.
Yeah. As far as this topic is concerned, I think the last thing I said was probably what my takeaway is. It's stop chasing perfection. I have certain tools, and for me to be as productive as possible, I want as clean and as little like fluff as possible. So there are things like Genie, Matt. When we talked about, I use Genie all the time. And it works for me, and it's simple, and it's lightweight, and it just gets whatever I need done as far as whether I'm doing bash scripting or markdown editing or anything like that. But for the most part, I think most of us fall into the same category where we just have a browser that we do a lot of our stuff with. We have the browser that we do at least for me, I just use it for mail and things like that. But overall, specially curated and lightweight and as little fluff as possible is what I'm going for going forward. And then the other part of it is not being so kind of like drawn and doing things in different directions. Really kind of like, okay, I'm going to do 45 minutes of this particular task and not deviate from that task and just sit there and stink and do it. Whereas I don't know, maybe I'm alone in this, but if I can do that I get a lot of stuff done. But if I like really kind of like my focus is drawn in a number of different places, it's actually very hard for me to get back into like a workflow that makes sense. Cause it's like, oh, what was I doing? I don't even remember what I was freaking doing. So just really focusing my time management a lot better is what I intend to do going forward.
I think mine and yours is pretty close to the same. It's a motivational thing. Like you lose motivation to even finish.
And you know what the thing is? I mean, I was a coach for a really long time. And one of the things that I always said, it's like, it's really easy to get like 90% of, I don't want to say really easy to get 90% there, but it takes that extra 10% to get to 100 takes 90% of your time. It's just crazy how long it takes for you. I mean, Zany, I'm sure you're like, oh, I got all this stuff to get my Zany OS done. And then that last 10% takes an enormous amount of effort and time,
Yeah. And it's because that last 10% is everything that wasn't super easy. And so you put it off. You're like, okay, well, I'll get to that here in a little bit. And then by the time you've gotten to it, all of the more difficult things, or at least a majority of them that you should have already taken care of, and this is like with any skill, has all now that's all you have to complete. So each step towards that 100% now seems like it's 10 times larger than any of the other ones that you've taken. And in some cases, because it's true. You've put it off.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but there's a guy in the chat. His name's I Am One Ant. He needs to be banned. That is the worst pun I've ever heard in my life. Just fire that guy. CDs are kind of literally revolutionary. Fuck.
Wow.
That's
I give him credit, all kinds of credit for that one.
Hey, listen, we have to take it one spin at a time.
Oh, Nate. I think I'm going to kick Nate real quick. Hold on a second.
Please do, please. God damn. All right, so before we move on, Drew, have you ever tried Pomodoro? It's a timing mechanism where you have like a literal timer. It would look like something like this, and it would sit on your desk, and it runs for 30 minutes. You dedicate yourself for 30 minutes, run it, do the task. You focus as much as possible. And then you get a break and you can move on to another task for the next 30 minutes or whatever. I found that actually it works pretty well for me because with the actual physical timer on my desk, I can see, like, it reminds me that I'm supposed to be focused on something, so I tend to keep focus better.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would work for you, but it worked for me for a little while. I don't know.
I'm open to it.
But they do have digital timers, but I found the digital timer didn't work as well because it was kind of out of sight, out of mind. This is literally something in my face to remind me that, hey, I'm supposed to actually doing something right now. That's why that timer's on.
The other part of it is like wretched too, where you sit there and you're like uber focused for like 2 or 3 hours and you forget to get up. And then you're like, oh my God, I'm freaking, my legs are asleep and my brain is completely shot. If you get up, every 45 minutes or whatever, and like get your blood flowing a little bit, you're going to be a lot like sharper going forward.
Yeah. Standing desks.
Yeah.
Fantastic. It's very good. All right, Tyler, your last one.
Mine, I don't really know. I think what I would probably change about my workflow would I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know.
It would be a Mac Pro.
Hell no. No. I'm not going back that route one bit. Absolutely not. They're power efficient as heck. So, I mean, like, if I ever can't afford power or something like that, sure, I'll consider it. No. As long as I can make a power bill and have access to just regular power, yeah, I'll stick with a regular computer.
So I'm going to cheat just a little bit because I just thought of an extra one. So this is just real quick. Just another one, like in the past, I would move to an Alcom huge faster than I did. So there you go. There's that.
Ooh, trackball is good.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, you need to get that mic stand that I sent to you.
You sent me a mic stand? Oh, yeah, you're talking to me.
Zany.
Oh, I didn't even see it.
And my real one is that, and this is one that I can actually do going forward instead of just looking past. I want to dedicate myself, because I'm very selectively organized. Some of my stuff is, like my wallpapers directory, about 80% of the way is like awesomely organized. It's by category and stuff like that. It's stupid. I spent hours on it. It's the stupidest thing to spend time on, but I did it. Other things, like actual important things that should be organized in my file system, are just all over the place. The equivalent of having all the icons on the desktop, I have that somewhere. Not actually on the desktop because I use a window manager like a proper fool. But in a file, just like I have just everything dumped in a file. I want to be better at that. I want to be better at actually putting things where they need to go. Because I keep everything. Like literally everything. I am a digital hoarder. I know that I am. Literally, I have those hard drives to prove it. I want to be better organized in putting things where they need to go. Properly described, tagged, categorized, put things like I'd like to have a Rolodex of where everything's at if I possibly could. I think that'd be great. It's just an actually matter of actually doing it. So yeah. So I think that's it. Unless you guys have anything else you want to. Nothing? Okay. We're going to go ahead and move on to the Nuggies of the week. Now, this is our section that we close the show on every week where we talk about apps or picks or tricks or whatever we want to talk about that have interested us, and we want to share them with you guys. So, Nate, your Nuggie of the week.
So, I actually picked up recently this pop filter. I have been religiously looking for one of these for a while. The reason why is I have a Rode Podcaster. So sticking, a fuzzy on it just ruins the look of the Rode Podcaster to me. So I found one on eBay. It is made by American Recorder. It's not cheap, and it does have a shipping with it. But it will literally fit almost any podcast mic. Has a little clip that you use. And I have the actual thicker foam, but it also came with a rubber if you need it to be kind of thin, depending on the size of your microphone. It's really easy to use, really quick. It'll unscrew. You can pull it in and out. You can adjust it. Pretty simple. And yeah, I really like this thing.
What was amazing to me, you just said pretty simple without any plosive, and you're speaking right into the microphone. That's pretty sick.
Yeah, it's double meshed.
Okay.
So it catches the wind pretty good.
So I have that exact, well, It may not be the exact brand, but I have one that looks exactly like that for the Heil PR40, and it works well on the Electro Voice RA22, but it won't work with the Shure SM7B, which is sad for me.
Well, but that's the actual aesthetics of the shirt. That's the that's the
This was
telltale
supposed to look
sign,
like, yeah.
right? That's the tell. But for the Rode Podcaster, like, it just looks dumb having a fuzzy on the top of it because
Yeah,
you can't see the actual mic.
The
Trust me,
Heil
as
does
someone
too.
who uses that, yeah, it does. Like, now, granted, the fuzzy thing I have on it like doesn't look too bad, but yeah, it kills the way the mic's supposed. The mic looks good when you first get it. It's not something you want to cover up. So
There's something you guys didn't know about me. I'm a little bit of a microphone nerd, so yeah.
Say,
I have more microphone. I don't have as many. I don't have as many microphones as I do keyboards, but it's a close thing. Drew, your Nuggie of the week, please.
So 2 days from now is the Matt hosts the Linux users group. And yes, Matt, I am going to steal your pimp right
That's
now. And the fact is, we have a very good time. We have a very good topic that we all kind of meet up. If you haven't joined Matt's Discord, then I would recommend that you do so that you get the announcement that the Linux user group is going to be on Thursday. It's twice a month. This Thursday, 2 days from now, is going to be the evening Linux users group. So 8:15 on Thursday, we will be hashing out some topic. If you are hearing this and this is Saturday, unfortunately, you're gonna have to wait, and because there is a morning lug, and it's the second Thursday of the month, and then the fourth Thursday of the month is the evening lug. Okay, just so you know, there is a calendar for this, so that if you go to Matt's Discord, it will be somewhere. I don't even know, Matt. Do you know where?
I think it's in the top like server settings.
Okay.
Well, where the server settings is, I think it's up there.
It's actually because we had to stop using that because Discord doesn't know how to tell time. So if you
Nice.
scroll all the way down to the lug chat at the bottom, the text lug chat, it will be linked in the channel description, and I will also share it via in the chat right now.
One of the cool things that we have with the Nextcloud instance that we run for the podcast is a calendar that shows dates for the lug. So that is my Nuggie of the week.
Way to go with a self-promotion, but also benefit everyone. Very kind of you, Drew.
To Nate's point, I could have just talked about the open box setup that I wrote.
Okay,
but,
not criticizing. I was in awe of how you did it. You did a very good job because you know from vast experience that despite in large letters at the bottom of every note it says pimp lug, Matt's gonna forget. Like, he's gonna forget. Like,
Yep.
it could be tattooed on my forehead, and I'd still like, hey, what's that? Oh, damn it.
I will say too, like, just real quick, if you go onto the TLC Discord, go to channels and roles, scroll all the way down, and there it says, "Do you want to be notified of lug related things?" Make sure you click that because you add lug when the link shows up.
I do that indeed, Matt. That's how you spell calendar. Tyler, while I'm doing this, save me from having to talk and do something at the same time.
You're
and,
good. So
your Nuggie of the week.
Yeah, mine is ALVR. If you don't know what that is, it's an open source implementation of VR headset support. It's a little bit different. So, like, you might think, okay, well, ALVR lets me play VR games on the headset. No, not really. What it is like a layer that lets Steam VR talk to pretty much any headset, and it also enables wireless gameplay. So if you have something like a Quest headset, a Pico standalone headset, anything like that, even like, I mean, all VR headsets are supported. So if you have a Valve Index or anything like that, you can use this as well. And it's good for like things like the Quest, where on Linux, one of the main reasons you couldn't play VR with one of those headsets was because you couldn't install Meta's, or back in the good old days, Oculus's great software on Linux and have it run properly. So ALVR is like a replacement for that. It works very well. It gives you way more options than the Meta app does. Meta's app is dog crap on Windows, and that's where it's intended to be used, and it's terrible. It is much better than that. I just will say, obviously, with pretty much every weird, new, highly evolving niche technology on Linux, it's a pain to get set up. You're probably going to run into some bugs or some special things you got to do to get it to work. But once you do get it working, it works pretty dang well. I have probably a better experience than I do on Windows, and that's probably has something to do with just the fact that I'm astonished it's working as well as it does on Linux. So, yeah.
Okay, good Nuggie. So mine is what did I write down? Okay, I remember. So I do, obviously, I'm a big reader. I read a ton usually. I'm on a little bit of a slump right now because of Ready Player One. Like, I read Ready Player One back in like February, and it has ruined me for all the other books. But that's beside the point. I like to track my reading. Like, I religiously track what I read, what I reread, how long it took me to read, how many pages, different genres and tags and all sorts of stuff. I love the stats. It's a very nerdy thing to do. And having a smartphone makes that easy because there are apps to do this. So I've talked about a few of these in the past. The one that I was using was called Bookly, but the problem is when I switched to Android, the data didn't transfer over because they don't sync, which was really disappointing. So I needed to find something different. I found one called Read More, 2 words. And first I checked off, it will sync between platforms. So if I ever do switch back, I can keep my data. But also, it is spectacularly well designed, has a ton of features, has a ton of stats that will be kept, and just does a really good job. You can also keep things like, you can also like take a picture of a page that you want, store it as a note. It will OCR it, and you can copy like quotes and stuff from it. It's really, really cool. So if you like to track your reading, Read More on iOS and Android. Very, very good. So definitely check that out. So I think that is where we need to go. So we do have, it looks like DT is going to be switching to Debian. I'll be interesting to see his video on that. If he makes a video on it, that'd be awesome.
Just so we're clear, if everything goes swimmingly right after this live stream, for everyone who's watching and for people in this podcast, hop on over to my Discord. I think we're going to be playing 0AD with DT, and I will stream it. I swear, cross my heart, give a nice cross on God, I will stream. I swear.
You're going to hell. I'm just saying you're going to hell because I don't believe you. Tyler, you're a great guy, but you don't know your YouTube password. You can't promise these things.
Okay. All right.
You're gonna have to I'll send him another invite and he'll be all right.
Would you want to use my YouTube channel to stream? I could just share mine.
I mean, we could just for the walls. It would convince people even more that I don't know my YouTube password.
I know. It'd feed into the stereotype. Anyways, that is the Linux Cast. I think that was a good one. We had a good time. So if you want to watch us live, we do record this live, and we have a fantastic time. As you know, people pop into the chat, and they're just off having their good old time, and sometimes we interact with those guys. So if you want to watch us live, we have a good time. We do this every Tuesday at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Mostly every Tuesday. Every once in a while we miss one, but we're usually here just having a good old time. So join us, youtube.com/LinuxCast. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the notification icon, all of that YouTubery bullshit. We'd really appreciate it, and it would allow you to get notifications when we go live. So do that, please. You can also head on over to the store where you get one of these fancy hats like mine or like Nate's at shop.thelinuxcast.org. That helps the podcast. It allows us to pay for hosting and all that kind of stuff. So definitely head on over there if you want a Linux nerd. You can't be a Linux nerd without the Linux nerd hat. So that's the rule. That's exactly what it is. So you can get in contact with us by heading over to the website, which is thelinuxcast.org. The linuxcast.org/contact is the best way to find all the information. But if you want some detailed information, Nate is on YouTube. He is Nate Picks Tech World on YouTube, so go check him out. Give him a subscribe. Tyler Zany OG on YouTube.
There will be content tonight, okay? Swear to God.
Yeah, there won't be. Sorry, I will have a heart attack if he streams.
Matt will be in my chat 100%.
I'll be trying like, what is going on? Was the end of the world happening? Oh no, what's happening? Anyway, Drew is just a guy, Linux. That's right? And he has the hat and the best logo. He makes videos on Debian, of course. Nothing about Arch on there. There's no Arch video on his entire channel. It is a travesty. Anyways, he also does scripting and home server, self-hosting stuff. So go check him out. Check everybody else. Make sure you subscribe. TheLinuxCast.org for the website. All that stuff. If you can't watch us live, I should have said this earlier, you can get the recorded version, which comes out on Saturday evenings. That is edited by Mr. Nate there. We appreciate you taking care of our ums, Nate. It's very good for you. There you go. Just for that.
Wow.
Side note, cut all of that out.
Yeah. Anyways, so you can catch the edited version on YouTube or on editing any podcatcher thing that you could possibly use. And if you use Apple Podcasts or Pocket Cast or anything like that where you can leave a review, please do so. It'd really help us out. It'd help us overtake all the other Linux podcasts and become the number one Linux podcast in the world, which is my ambition. Kind of. I don't know. Anyways, leave a review. We'd really appreciate it. So that is it for us this time. We'll see you guys next week. Have a good one.